On today's episode, what I did on my summer vacation. Also, I talked with a man who literally died at a Tough Mudder and the paramedic on course who saved his life. This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. Thank you for listening. My name is Will Hicks. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If you are a long-time listener, welcome back. Where have you been? I missed you. You are listening to the number one rated obstacle course racing podcast because of listeners like you, leaving ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and Amazon.com. Thank you for helping out the show by leaving a review for it. On today's episode, we have a stack of news to get caught up on, and also an interview with David BeBeau and Scott Smiley. David was running Tough Mudder when he had a heart attack and literally died. I am not making this up. Scott Smiley is a paramedic who was running the course with his family that day, and he stopped to help. Scott gave CPR to Dave until help arrived, and David is alive today because of what Scott did. This is a great story I am excited to bring you in a few minutes. This is our first episode back after a break over the summer, and I have received more than 5, less than 10 messages asking me if I am dead. And I am honored you noticed, but no, I am still breathing. I know, and you know, the list of people listening right now to the show because of me is very short. There's my mom, and there's Matt B. Davis. That's it. Everyone else listening wants to hear about World's Toughest Mudder, or Tough Mudder, or maybe some general obstacle course racing fans. Nobody listens to an OCR podcast for the host. If any of us get too big for our britches and start thinking we're the star of the show, feel free to send us an email and remind us what you care about. So with that in mind, I will keep my Where Were You update brief, I promise. My family and I did some traveling this summer. I went to Cooperstown, New York, with my brother to see Trevor Hoffman of the San Diego Padres get inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Because, let's be honest, there's not going to be another San Diego Padre inducted anytime soon. If you don't know where Cooperstown is, it is right next to nothing. It's like 3 hours from Albany, New York. But it was a great trip. I also went to Maui with my family, with my wife and kids. Both great trips. So, sorry I missed you, but we are back. If you would like to hear more about my summer vacation, too bad. That's all you get. Before we start the show, you can get in touch with me at willhicks@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheWillHicks, and you can follow the show on Instagram at World's Toughest Podcast. You can be a part of the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Amazon.com, and I will read it on a future episode. We don't have a Patreon. I'm not looking for your money. I think Patreon is great, and I'm glad it is a thing. But if you would like to support our show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and or Amazon.com. I appreciate it. Let's talk about some news. Last week was the Adventure NorAm Championships. Let me unpack that sentence for you. Adventure is the company that holds the OCR WC race, OCR World Championships race. They also hold the South African Championship race. They also hold the 24-hour Enduro Championship race in Australia that Alison Tai and Lachlan Danzy won this year. NorAm is short for North American. And last year, Adventure held the U.S. OCR Championships down in Texas. This year, they decided to let Canada and Mexico play in their sandbox. And they didn't just play in the sand. Canada showed up, won almost all the gold medals, and kicked that sand in America's face like a big old bully. There were 3K, 15K, male team, female team, and co-ed team races at the NorAm races. So 7 different categories of races: 3K male, 3K female, 15K male, 15K female, male team, female team, co-ed team. 7 races. Of those 7 races, 6 of them were won by Canadians or Canadian majority teams. The one non-Canadian win was the women's team race. So the 7 races, 21 podium spots, 10 of them were won by Canadians. We talk about it all the time, and it's become a cliche almost to say, but Canada is a dominant force in OCR today and for the foreseeable future. And it's not just Ryan Atkins and Lindsay Webster. They're obviously great, but I could give you 10 more names off the top of my head of strong OCR runners that regularly win races here and in Canada. We love Canada. Your 2018 NorAm Podium winners are: in the 3K short course for the men, in first, Ryan Atkins; second, VJ Jones; third, Jesse Bruce. In the 3K short course for the women, in first, Lindsay Webster; in second, Nicole Miracle; in third, Alexandra Walker. In the 15K traditional distance for the men, in first, Ryan Atkins, again; in second, Mark Battras; and in third, Jesse Bruce, again. In the 15K traditional distance for the women, in first, Lindsay Webster, again; in second, Nicole Miracle, again; and in third, April Cockshut. The team races were all 10 kilometers long, about 6 miles. In the men's team race, it was Team Platinum Rig in first place, Team Northman in second, Next Gen OCR in third. The winning team, Platinum Rig, is made of Samuel Hebert, William Broward, and Jesse Bruce. This was Jesse Bruce's third podium of the weekend. The second place team, Team Northman, included Ryan Atkins in his only non-first place finish of the weekend. In the women's team race, in first was Team Mom Squad. In second was Bad Ass Masters. In third was Strong as a Mother. The winning team, Mom Squad, is made up of Julie Hartis, Rachel Corigliano, and Ashley Samples. This was the lone American win this weekend. In the co-ed team race, first place was Team Sunto and Benji. Second place was Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team. Third place was Team Hot Wheels Mud Gear. The winning team, Team Sunto and Benji, is made up of Ryan Atkins, Lindsay Webster, and Nicole Miracle. They named their team Team Sunto and Benji after their compasses. I mentioned earlier the Canadian dominance. 6 out of 7 first-place finishes, 10 of 21 podiums. The biggest reason for that was the first family of OCR, Ryan Atkins and Lindsay Webster. Ryan won both men's individual races, finished second in the men's team race, and left immediately after the men's race to finish first in the co-ed team race. Lindsay won both women's individual races, and with her husband Ryan, finished first in the co-ed team race. Their teammate Nicole Miracle is American, but 2 out of 3 counts for Canada. We've talked a lot about Lindsay and Ryan on the podcast. They're both great, obviously. I could do an entire episode just talking about their race results. But don't sleep on Nicole Miracle. Nicole won the Tougher Mudder Championship, World Championship last year. On a flat course, I think Nicole is the fastest woman in OCR? You know what? It'd be Nicole or Rhea. I would love to see them just run like a 10K and with no obstacles, just watch them run and see who the fastest woman is. Nicole lives in Boulder, Colorado with Rhea. They both live in Boulder. Nicole's been doing a lot of rock climbing this year, which will only make her stronger on the obstacles. Keep an eye out for Nicole Miracle as championship season arrives. Congratulations to everyone who ran, and especially to those podium winners. Speaking of championship season, the NorAm Championships are the unofficial start to OCR championship season. Over the next 4 months, there will be 6 more major championships in the U.S. and abroad. Europe and South Africa have already held their championship races for 2018. Those 6 major races to watch for are the Spartan North American Regional Championship race in West Virginia on August 25th, the Tougher Mudder World Championship in Seattle on September 22nd, the Spartan World Championship in Lake Tahoe, California on September 29th, the Adventure OCR World Championships in London, England on October 19th, World's Toughest Mudder in Atlanta, Georgia on November 10th, and the Spartan Ultra Beast Championship in Reykjavik, Iceland on December 7th. Is that too many championships? Probably. But if they are supported by the OCR community and they are making enough money so it's worthwhile for the organizers to hold them every year, then I think it is great. I do think it would be good for the races to make the championship structure more clear for the general public to follow. Tough Mudder has done a better job of that this year. They have 3 categories: fittest, fastest, and toughest. Fittest is TMX, fastest is tougher, toughest is World's Toughest Mudder. 3 races. Adventure can't really have a series the way they're set up now because not everyone is eligible to run NorAm or to run their South Africa championship race. They do have a 24-hour race now to go with their 3K and 15K OCRWC race. Spartan is the one that really needs to clarify their process. Spartan has so many different championship races. I'm going to list all of the championship races and series Spartan has had this year in 2018. The U.S. Championship Series, the Mountain Series, the Stadium Series, the Honor Series, the North American Regional Championship Race, and the World Championship Race. That's 6 different championship series and races. I'm not done yet. That's 6 races just in the U.S. Outside the U.S., Spartan also has, the Canadian National Championship Series, the Mexico National Championship Series, the UK and Ireland National Championship Series, the French National Series, Italian National Series, Spain National Series, Central European National Series, the German National Series, European National Championship Race, Ultra Beast World Championship, Trifecta World Championship. That is 17 different Spartan Championship Series and races. And I think it is great. It is a good thing that Spartan has all these championship races for each country. I legitimately believe that. It's a good thing for the sport. My problem is keeping them straight. I wish Spartan or someone gave enough attention to them so that they didn't all blend together. If Spartan won't do it, then it would be great if a podcast or an OCR website did it. Speaking of championship races, Adventure quietly released the date of their 2019 24-hour Enduro championship race. This is the race in Australia that Alison Ty and Lachlan Danzy won in 2018. In 2019, it will be held in Australia again on June 8th and 9th. This is the same weekend the event was held on in 2018, almost 6 months to the day after World's Toughest Mudder. World's Toughest Mudder is the longest-running 24-hour obstacle course race and is generally seen as the pinnacle of the endurance OCR world. Most people think World's Toughest Mudder is the best 24-hour race because it is the best 24-hour race. Spartan and Adventure have recently decided to compete in that category. Both companies have 1 year under their belt. Two other big fitness events happened this past month. Hunter McIntyre and Emma Chapman won the 2018 TMX World Championships. Last year's female winner, Corinna Coffin, finished in second for the women. The other big event was the CrossFit Games Championships. Matt Frazier and Tia Claire Toomey repeated as champions. This was Tia Claire Toomey's second win in a row and Matt Frazier's third win in a row. This is the first year I kind of followed the CrossFit Games. If you've never seen them, you should watch them last year or even just look on YouTube. They'll have 15 or 20 athletes in a row doing sets of movements or exercises with a judge right in their face, watching their form, and thousands of screaming fans in the crowd cheering on their guy. It is remarkable to watch. Do you know how when you're working out with someone and they start cheering you on and it gives you a little extra power toward the end of a set? Can you imagine working out with thousands of people screaming for you? I could pick up a car. By the way, TMX men's champion Hunter McIntyre says he is going all out on the CrossFit Games next year. That will be fun to watch. When you look at the sport of OCR right now, I think it's in a similar place to where CrossFit was 10 years ago and where MMA was 20 or maybe 25 years ago. OCR will never be the NFL. It'll never be the NHL. But I think if the powers that be, the people at the top of the OCR food chain, if the sport is managed correctly, I think obstacle course racing could find itself somewhere between where CrossFit and MMA are right now. That's what I believe, and that is what I am working towards. This weekend was the Tough Mudder in southwest London near Badminton, England. Now, when I say badminton, you probably think of that stupid game that your weird uncle wants to play every 4th of July. But it's also the home to Tough Mudder Southwest near London, England. I'm not a badminton player. I'm a good mitten player. This weekend at badminton, Tough Mudder rolled out an obstacle they called Alpha Test 1. That's what they called it on the course map. On the course, it was just Alpha Test. Thanks to Ian Kay and Will Chung from the UK for sending me pictures. The Alpha Test obstacle is 2 slack lines about 2 feet apart, extended over a water pit. The slack lines are 2 or 3 feet above the water. The directions on course for the obstacle say to not stand on the straps and to stay on all fours. So you're kind of shimmying your body across the straps, extended over the water pit, trying to get across without falling in the water. The water's like 2 feet deep. Initial reviews of the obstacle were mostly along the lines of, which is probably fair. It looks like a Warrior Dash or a Rugged Maniac obstacle. But that's fine. At this point, I am glad Tough Mudder is spending the time and the money and the effort to experiment with new obstacles, even if they're not amazing. For years, Tough Mudder's unfair advantage over all the other companies was their amazing obstacles. There were lots of obstacle course races, but if you wanted to do the best obstacles, you had to do Tough Mudder. Block Ness Monster, King of the Swingers, Augustus Gloop, Stage 5, balls to the wall. You cannot build those in your backyard. They've lost a little bit of that this year, but I have heard rumors and rumblings I am optimistic they are back on the path for the rest of the year, leading into next year. Last bit of news for the week. NorAm reported this week a big sale of one of the most well-known, fun obstacle course races, Rugged Maniac. You will remember Rugged Maniac is the OCR company that appeared on the TV show Shark Tank in 2014.
Greetings, Sharks. Our company is Rugged Races, and we're seeking $1 million for 10% of our company.
They made a deal with Mark Cuban to sell 25% of their company for $1.75 million, valuing the entire company at $7 million. They recently announced they have sold a, quote, majority interest in the company for $10.4 million. If that majority interest is 51%, it would value the company at about $21 million. We don't know the exact percentage Rugged sold off, so we don't know the exact valuation. But it looks like Mark Cuban's initial investment in Rugged has increased in value as much as 300% since he made his investment on Shark Tank 4 years ago. Do you know who's happy about that? Besides Mark Cuban? Joe DeSena and Will Dean, the CEOs of Spartan and Tough Mudder. Whatever Rugged Maniac is worth, Spartan and Tough Mudder are both worth multiples and multiples of. Don't be surprised if you hear about OCR companies looking for a way to cash in on some of that in the near future. Congratulations to Rugged Maniac, and congratulations to Mark Cuban. Also, congratulations to anyone who owns an OCR company right now. Your value on paper just went up considerably. Before we talk with our guests, let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
Our first review comes from AJR Deuces. AJR Deuces says, my favorite OCR podcast. 5 stars. I love this podcast. Started listening prior to last year's WTM, and I got so many helpful tips. Although I've completed 6 WTMs already, there's always something that I find helpful. Will always has insightful content, great guests, and many useful WTM tips. I look forward to hearing 5 stars every week. Keep up the great work, Will. Hope to see you in Atlanta. Angelo Romano. Thank you, Angelo. Angelo has run World's Toughest 6 times. It's only been held 7 times. Percentage-wise, that means Angelo has run World's Toughest Mudder 6 out of 7 times. That's impressive. Well done, Angelo. Thank you for listening. Our next review comes from Tribe CA NYC. Tribe CA NYC writes, pure awesomeness, 5 stars. Great job, Will Hicks. You give the sport of OCR a huge boost with your insight and interviews. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Tribe CA NYC. You give me a boost with your kind words. They wrote, great work, Will Hicks. There's something about your name, your own individual name. At Toughest Mudder and at World's Toughest Mudder, they have timing mats set up at the finish line. And a lot of the big road races do this too. So when you're finishing a lap, the MC can say, coming across the finish line, it's Tribe CA NYC. And here comes Angelo Romano. They're not perfect, and they don't always get your name right, or they don't always get you every lap. But when they do get you, it feels so good. A person's name is the most important word in the English language to them. I've told my kids, we do not make fun of someone else's name. I mean, we don't make fun of anyone, right? But especially their name. I digress. Tribe CA NYC, thank you for the kind words in your review. Our last review comes from Britt the Fit Mom. Britt writes, postpartum motivation, 5 stars. Thank you for keeping me updated on the latest and greatest Tough Mudder news. I am new to the Tough Mudder community. Last year, I coached my friend through a knee injury so he could complete 60 miles at World's Toughest Mudder. In return, he paid for my first Tough Mudder. I competed at Long Island Tougher Mudder and came in first for females. I then claimed third place at the Northeast Tougher Mudder Championships while I was in my first trimester. I gave birth to a healthy baby boy this May, and I am looking forward to returning to Long Island for my postpartum debut. Well done, Britt. I love this review. I love the thought of a mom having a baby and using our show to help in her motivation to lose that baby weight and get back after it. So, good for you, Britt. Hope to see you in Atlanta. Thanks for leaving a review. If you would like to be a part of the show like Angela Romano, Tribe CA NYC, and Britt the Fit Mom, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Also, just open the Purple Podcast app on your iPhone or iPad and search for World's Toughest Podcast. Click our logo and then scroll down to click Write a Review. If you don't have an Apple device, you can still leave a review and be a part of the show. Just go to Amazon.com and search for World's Toughest Podcasts. Click our logo and then click the box marked Enable Skill. Then scroll down and click Write a Customer Review. And I will read it on a future episode. If you have already left a review and it's been a while, feel free to leave another one and let me know what you think of the show now. Our guests today are David BeBeau and Scott Smiley. David literally died at a Tough Mudder. Scott literally saved his life. It's an amazing story. It's time to talk with David and Scott. Let's go to the phones. Scott Smiley and Dave BeBeau, thanks for joining the show.
You're welcome.
Dave, you and Scott have a unique story that and by unique, I mean, in 8 years of Tough Mudder, I've never heard a story like what happened to you guys. David, tell me if I'm wrong. You died at Tough Mudder, and Scott was part of the group that helped bring you back.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I suffered what the doctors called like immediate death, cardiac arrest.
And Dave,
so I was flatlined.
So Dave, you were at Tough Mudder. Which Tough Mudder course were you at?
The Michigan one in Oxford.
Tell me about it. Were you there with friends or with family? Why did you sign up to run Tough Mudder?
Well, some friends of mine had signed up. It was actually a very close friend of mine decided he wanted to do it. He actually had some friends from Germany visiting, so they were doing it. And a friend of mine from the Ukraine was there as well. So we're like a international group of friends doing it.
Dave, about how old are you? What's your fitness level?
I'm 52. I'm pretty physically fit. I've played hockey most of my life, coached hockey, do some running and training. Not super intense, but I'm a fairly physically fit guy.
How did you feel the morning of the Tough Mudder?
Well, I don't exactly remember. My friends told me that I was complaining of feeling tired and had indigestion problems, which turned out not to be indigestion, turned out to actually be chest pains.
Do you remember where you were at on the course when it happened?
I think my friends told me I was around mile 6. Scott can probably answer that question. I don't remember anything.
Well, sure. So, Scott, what happened when you kind of ran into what happened when you met Dave?
We had just rounded the corner. Dave's right. It was around mile 6. We were a little over halfway through. And we rounded the corner, and I seen a group of people. I mean, as soon as we turned the corner, there was a big group right there. And I overheard somebody say they thought he was having a seizure. So that kind of perked my ears up because there's people down on the course, sprained ankles and things like that. So it's not uncommon to see somebody down and people around them. But when I heard that, I kind of looked over, and I was with my wife and kids and some other family friends. We had I think a 7-man group. So my ears kind of perked up when I heard seizure. And then I looked over and I seen somebody checking a pulse, and that's when I kind of made a beeline, over to where things were happening. And then just as I was walking up, somebody started chest compressions.
And Scott,
so that's the situation then.
And Scott, what's your medical background?
I'm a fireman paramedic. I'm a lieutenant on the Monroe Fire Department. Been on the department for about 16 years now.
So you walk up, you see a guy doing chest compressions. You know it's serious. What happened next?
I got right in the mix. I started. There was quite a few people around. Some people were throwing out their credentials a little bit. I'm not real big into that. I just see the situation and want to help out. So I start getting with CPR, you're supposed to rotate every 2 minutes. That does two things. It keeps people fresh, and it also helps the quality of chest compressions. Because as you get tired, you don't push as hard or push as deep or push as fast. So that way that 2 minute rotation is very important. So I started rotating out with people, getting people lined up, keeping track of time, things like that.
And then, so you were kind of going in and out doing compressions. On TV, it's real common, someone falls over, they have a heart attack, compressions, they come back immediately. As a fireman, that's probably not the case. What happened with Dave?
Dave's respirations were way down. He was probably only breathing, when I first got there, maybe 4 times a minute, 5 times a minute. His respirations were way down. So as we're doing CPR, and especially near the end, his respirations picked up quite a bit. But yeah, that's a lot of Hollywood. People generally don't just wake up after doing CPR. They need medications. They need the electrical shock from the defibrillator and things like that. So yeah, generally people don't generally wake up from just doing CPR.
Wait, so Dave, did you wake up right there?
Did I? I don't remember. I don't recall that. I don't think I did. Did I, Scott? I think
no, he
groaned.
didn't. Yeah, every time you'd shock, you'd let out kind of a groan. Like I say, as his respirations picked up at the end, his eyes were they were open, but it's kind of lights on, nobody home type
Sure.
situation in his eyes. But near the end, at one point, just a couple minutes before the ambulance showed up, he moved his eyes over to the left. It looked more deliberate. And also his respirations were picking up. His color was looking a lot better, his skin color. And that was after we had the AED. Because we did compressions for about 15 minutes, approximately 15 minutes or so before the medical staff got an AED to us, because we were way back in the quarry. And so once they got the AED to us, I think we shocked them 8 or 9 times. I don't remember the exact number, but it was 8 or 9. So it's every 2 minutes with a shock. So that all helped out,
Did they end up transporting him to the hospital? Were they able to get an ambulance back there?
They did. And that's what took so long because we're in a quarry. It took them a while to, because we were, I believe, way in the back. We were at the back, very back part of the quarry on the course. And it probably took them that long to get back there. They got radio, so I'm sure they were notified right away. But yeah, so all together, we were back there with Dave probably 25, 30 minutes. And then the ambulance came, we loaded him up, and then, that was pretty much it for the course there then.
When the ambulance left, did you go with Dave, or did you go back with your family and finish the course? What happened after that?
Yeah. I turned to my family and, I walked up and I said, "Okay, we ready to finish the race?" And my daughter was kind of shocked. I mean, she's 16. She's going to be going to an RN program next fall. So yeah, she's like, "You're crazy. Don't you need a break?" And so it was good for them to see. It was good for my kids. Both my son, he's 14. My daughter's 16. They've always known what I've done, but they've never seen me do what I do.
Sure.
So it was a good lesson for them to learn to, you get involved. If somebody needs help, you might be able to help out and make a big difference. So don't be afraid to do the right thing and get in there and help out. So it was good for them to see, and especially with an outcome miraculous. I mean, you just don't see outcomes like this with Dave for that kind of downtime.
Talk about that. He was unconscious at least 30 minutes. How unusual or how rare is that for him to be talking to us right now?
I mean, it can happen, but but for him not to have any kind of deficits, no brain damage, no organ failures, no problems like that. This is the first time I've ever seen an outcome like this in my career.
Dave,
that's what the miracle is in this. It's just crazy how well he's doing. Yeah.
Dave, what did the doctor say when you woke up?
They explained to me what happened. I was out until it happened on June 2nd. I was out of it until June 10th. Is when I was on a ventilator. They explained to me what had happened, and just said, "You're lucky to be alive." Later on, they just told me how truly bad it was. I mean, like Scott said, that people that are normally down that long, they usually don't. The doctor said usually you don't make it. Even the EMTs who drove me to the hospital, once I was out of danger and conscious, came to see me, and they popped in my room and said, "Hey, we heard you didn't die. We wanted to see you because we really didn't think you were going to make it." So it was quite a miracle. They did in the hospital. Some of the staff was referring to me as Miracle Man because it normally doesn't happen. It's usually not a happy outcome.
How do you feel now?
Actually, in some ways, I feel better than I was feeling in late May, because obviously something like this doesn't just happen. It builds. And I had 100% blockage in one of my arteries, left descending artery. So I hadn't been feeling good, and I just didn't catch on. I didn't realize that I was having problems. So in some ways, today I actually feel better than I did, say, 8 weeks ago. I went to rehab this morning. Was on the treadmill, a stationary bike, doing all these exercises, cardio exercises, and it really makes me feel good.
What did the doctor say? What did the doctor say as far as preventing this from happening again, or lessons you can take away from this?
Well, lessons that I can certainly take away is I have to follow what would be considered a heart healthy diet now. I already was active. I have to maintain that, and I need to get heart checkups now, because it is kind of, someone like me, it is kind of unusual to have a blockage like this. Because I get physicals every year. Have for the past 10, 12 years. I get my cholesterol checked every year. It's never been alarmingly high. So to build up all this stuff in my heart's kind of weird given my history. So now I have to be very careful and be monitored, see the cardiologist a couple times a year, get an EKG, that kind of stuff. So no more pizzas and things like that.
Yeah, are there things to avoid, or they say just eat lots of salad? What's a heart healthy diet look like?
Well, things to avoid is like a lot of fatty foods. Like instead of having steak once a week, maybe you can have it once a month and have a leaner cut. Eat lots of fish and chicken. One of the things I'm learning in rehab is there's a nutrition class, and learning how to read labels. Hey, this thing's low fat, but gosh, it's got a ton of sodium in it. That's also bad for you. So that kind of stuff, like just being really careful about what I'm eating. They didn't say I have to become a vegetarian or something like that. Just be sensible in what I eat. If a recipe calls for half a stick of butter, maybe only use a tablespoon of butter and find a butter substitute, or just find a butter substitute entirely. That kind of stuff.
Scott, for you, I'm sure this wasn't the first time you've helped somebody, but seeing his recovery, what are some takeaways for you?
I attribute it to people being right there. He had good, high quality CPR, like instantly. Most people can be down, in the backyard or inside the house, and somebody finds them at some point, or they can even see him go down and don't know what to do and call 911, and then it could take a few minutes for people to get on scene. But for Dave, people were right there with him. And it wasn't just me there. There was I believe there was another medic, maybe a second medic. I'm not exactly sure, like I said, what everybody's credentials were, but it was a great team effort there with everybody there that helped. But yeah, that's what I attribute it to, is good high quality CPR right from the start, right when he went down. He probably was down, I would say, less than a minute before somebody was stepping in. So that's a good thing. All that contributes to how he is today.
Scott, I was going to ask you what you think people could do if they're ever in a situation where they see someone go down, but it sounds like the most important thing is to learn CPR beforehand.
Right. Yeah. CPR, that's good for everybody to know. My daughter's already been CPR trained. I think she did it at 15 last year. My son knows the basics just from me kind of teaching him. He hasn't been certified, but yeah, that's a big thing. People used to be afraid to the mouth to mouth. That's what scared a lot of people off. And now they're training people to just do hands only CPR. They're learning with the CPR compressions, you are getting, just with the compressions of the chest, the lungs are getting compressed a little bit too. You are getting some air if you don't have a one-way valve there that would protect you from the person. And luckily somebody had one fairly quickly, a mask. So Dave was getting air also in between compressions.
Dave, do you think you'll do another Tough Mudder?
I'd certainly like to. I don't know if my wife is up for that. The cardiologist said that doing the race saved my life, though.
How's
in
that?
The fact that I was going to have a heart attack sometime soon. And like Scott was saying, I could have been out mowing the lawn. I could have been in the basement. Who knows when somebody would have found me. But the fact I was there and people just jumped on and, knew what to do and helped me is what saved my life. So I attribute the race to saving my life. So that's why I'd like to do one again. I don't know if I ever will or not, but I'll certainly remain active. I play adult hockey, and probably next year I'll get back into playing hockey.
Scott, do you have any last thoughts on the weekend or on Dave's situation?
No, just a miraculous story. I mean, it's just the outcome of it. It's just wonderful. Me and my wife went up and had lunch with Dave and his family, and very good family, very loving family. Just Dave seems like just a super guy. So yeah, I'm just very happy how things turned out.
Dave, any last thoughts?
Yeah, very happy with the outcome. It's great I got to meet Scott. I would like to know who the other people were. One other person has contacted me and said that they were there and helped me. And my friend said that there were about 6 people, including Scott, who were helping me doing CPR. And it'd just be nice to touch base with them if I could somehow find them. But it's hard to know, something like that. I think everybody else, people just went back to the race and took off. They did what they needed to do, and they're gone. So,
well, we will put this out there and see if we can find some more of those people for you.
Great, that'd be wonderful.
Dave and Scott, thanks much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Special thanks to David BeBeau and Scott Smiley for appearing on this episode. Well done, you two. As a disclaimer, I am not a doctor, and this show is not intended as medical advice. If you believe you may have a heart condition, please see your doctor immediately. I need your help. I would like to help Dave connect with some of the other people on course who helped him. If you ran Tough Mudder Michigan this year and helped Scott save Dave's life, or if you know one of the people who did, please email me at willhicks@gmail.com. We will put you and Dave in touch with each other. Thank you for any help you can provide. If you have not already, you should take a CPR class. Search for American Red Cross or American Heart Association classes in your area. It is good to be back. I missed you all very much. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and I will see you next time. Go spend time with someone you love.